Today's show is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm talking about the top rated sports booking app in all of North America, baby. Safe, secure, and my favorite, reliable. And what better time than now? You got the black and gold facing that brown team, and we know we feel good about our players. And if you do feel good, well, they got player prop bets available for you. But we also know you might be into a little parlay. Well, of course, we got the parlays available to you with DraftKings, but more importantly, we got promo codes, ladies and gents. And it's a beautiful concept for the new customers when you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and you make your first bet of $5. You get $200 in bonus bets instantly with the promo code Moats. It's that simple, baby. Promo code Moats. You see how we're doing it, right? You see how we're doing it? Put it on everything, okay? But more importantly, I understand there is a chance that you might develop a gambling problem. And if that does occur and you need help and you live in New York, you see it's a number that you could text. But for everybody else, the digits to dial are 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's get this first topic rolling, man, because I do want to talk about some around the league because we've had multiple actions taking place within, the league. And specifically, what I want to start with is, drum roll, please. We had a trade in the division. They think they good again, but we know they trash. They think this quarterback gonna help them, but he really... All right, I'll leave that alone. Shout out, though. Shout out. So, yesterday, right? And this is the funny part, too, man. I feel like with me and Tanisha, we had a streak going. It was like every time we would record or do some type of content, something would happen, right? So it was like we recorded one time, DK Metcalf. We recorded another time, Aaron Rodgers. Now we recorded, and it was like, oh, you got the Joe Flacco. I was like, wait a minute now, man. I felt good to have some of that little mojo back. I'm going to have to talk to her in a little bit to see how she feels about this move also. But for those that don't know, man, my man, Joe Flacco, one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. And I'll tell you in a second why. Okay. But the Browns traded Joe Flacco and a 6th-round draft pick to the Cincinnati Bengals for a 5th-round draft pick. Like I said, man, rare air right here whenever you're talking about interdivision trades taking place. We see interdivision players swap in terms of free agency, but rare when you're seeing trades, and specifically in season on top of that, right? I think they said this was like one of the first trades between the Browns and the Bengals since like I think the 70s or something like that. It was like super OG old with, or maybe early 80s time frame, right? But super OG old school with it, man. But a couple of things when we're talking about both teams, right? We know Joe Flacco has been the starter, or he was the starter in Cleveland prior to this past game where they played in London and Dylan Gabriel had his first start versus the Vikings. But up until that point, he had started 4 games for them. Was their leading passer, had 815 passing yards, 93 on buck 60 attempts, 58 completion percentage, right? So, but 2 touchdowns, 6 picks. He has been sacked 9 times. All right. Averaging about 203 per game. But like I said, man, 1-4 on the season. So obviously not the best. Now, why would Cincinnati make this move? Because everybody knows who Cincinnati has over there, right? Everybody knows. It's like, you got Joe Burrow. What you worry about Joe? You ain't doing it. You got Joe over there. Well, we know Joe is hurt, right? And since Joe has been hurt, the Bengals haven't won a game. They started out 2-0. They're now 2-3. Okay. So when you're talking about the Bengals specifically and the skid that they're experiencing, it's a 3-game losing streak, and it doesn't present a lot of areas for optimism either, right? When you're talking about how can Cincinnati stay afloat long enough for Joe Burrow. Now, shout out to my dog TG. I texted him as soon as this news dropped because if you remember, when he was on the show on Monday, he brought up a couple of names. He said, man, Russell Wilson could potentially be one of them dudes, man. It's like, yo, you got to watch, man. Cincinnati's going to try to trade for somebody that's good enough but not loud to the point that it could overtake a Joe Burrow or even cause any type of behind the scenes chaos. And that was why he specifically said no to Shedeur Sanders, right? Because he's like, yeah, that'd be too loud, man. What direction are you trying to go in? Kirk Cousins, once again, be too loud and expensive. I threw out Jameis Winston, but Flacco was his guy. That was the one. And when you think about it, man, Flacco does make a lot of sense for Cincinnati. He's supposed to start this week for them as well. If I remember correctly, they are supposed to be playing the Packers, I want to say. Let me just double check that real quick. But they should be playing the Packers. Yeah, 425. So we get a chance to watch that one, baby. Can't wait. But for Joe Flacco, man, big arm. That's where we start with Flacco. And we know the Cincinnati, very different and similar at the same time to Cleveland. The difference is this, though, right? They got receivers. Cleveland didn't really have receivers. Cleveland, Jerry Jeudy, he's okay. He's decent, right? Not elite, not anywhere in the conversation of a Jamar Chase, right? But he's a good player. Isaiah Bond, young dude, man. We obviously know the story for him coming out of Texas, but that's the guy that they're going to be leaning on. He's still just young right now. They operate a little bit more with David Njoku, right? The tight end. So when you talk about Flacco coming to Cincinnati, now we're talking about Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. We're talking about down the grass. We're talking about a guy with a big arm that has receivers that can go down the grass and get it. Flip side is this, though. If you thought Cleveland's protection was a little shorty, a little shorty with it, yeah, baby. Cincinnati, not the best. Not the best. All right. So with that, man, I look at it and I say, yes, is Joe Flacco an upgrade over Jake Browning? Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. But does this move make me feel any differently about Cincinnati going forward? No. I do feel like if they can protect Joe Flacco, he does have the arm to get it to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. He does have the ability to let those guys shine, right? But as a whole, he has to be able to have time to do that. And that's one of the things that we knock Cincinnati for. We say, man, they don't protect, right? Joe Burrow is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league since he's joined the league. And when you throw in, the injury history as well, we do look at some of these hits and it's like, hey, man, that adds up a little bit, right? At least in some capacity. So for, Flacco in that sense, that's where I still feel good because we have the great equalizer, which is called shout out the pass rush and not that janky pass rush win rate. I don't care about that. I'm sure we'll talk about that, but I do not care about pass rush win rate. Okay. I just know we got butt kickers. That's what I do know. Okay. But Joe Flacco going to Cincinnati. Interesting, baby. So like I said, man, we will see though, man. But you guys let me know in the comment section how y'all feel, with Joe Flacco, man, getting kind of pushed around the division. He taking the Kenny approach. Kenny done hopped around. Kenny had some time with us. Then he did some Cleveland. So now you think about Flacco. Flacco done. He's actually on the Larry Ogunjobi train now that I think about it. Because shoot, Larry done Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Flacco now he on Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. The only thing left to do is want to join up. No, I ain't about to do that. I ain't about to start that up today. All right. But if he did, it would be funny. Just, maybe next year we'll call you up, Joe, let you compete. All right. Compete with Will Howard, Mason Rudolph, and John Maytier when we draft him. All right. Shout out. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts though, man, on Joe Flacco joining the Cincinnati Bengals, man. How much of the needle does it move for you? Do you think that this makes Cincinnati more legitimate? Does this make you feel like we have to be back, putting them in the forefront of that scope and feeling some concerns? Or do we feel confident still in what we've seen on tape from us versus the struggles that we're seeing from Cincinnati? And we're saying that, hey, man, Joe Flacco isn't the Joe Flacco of 5 years ago or even 10 years ago. He is a little bit more limited. We know mobility isn't his, strong suit on top of that. And maybe y'all feel good. Maybe you're also saying, man, it's going to take him some time to get up to speed. He ain't about to just figure this playbook out, get on the same page with all them boys, and have it clicking on all cylinders. Nah, it's going to take some time. Now, he an OG super vet, though. He done seen a lot of football. That's what I do know. Flacco done seen a lot of football, man. Now, this is a great question right here. Shout out to X Concept. He says, can press man limit Flacco's dink and dunk quick screen passes? Yes, it definitely can. Pros and cons to it. The pros are, by pressing Jamar Chase, by pressing T. Higgins, you disrupt the timing. You don't allow Joe Flacco to just get it, one read, get it out his hands before pressure can get to him. So in a perfect world, yes, press man is a gorgeous call to call versus a quarterback or versus offenses that love quick game. You talk about this offense that we're going to play on Sunday. We'll talk about that when I get on with Tanisha, but they're another one that likes to operate with some of that quick passing attack, right? So yes, press can work with that. Now, the con is this: you have to be very cautious when you're pressing a Jamar Chase or a T. Higgins, because press in the same way that you could disrupt the timing, you can also get beat off that line. And now this dude is wide open and it didn't even take that long. And you're in chase technique. And who wants to be chasing after Jamar Chase, no pun intended, or T. Higgins? So you have to be really cautious when you decide to implement press man. If you go press man and you say we're going to go two man, right? Meaning two safeties deep in terms of your half field, but then everybody else underneath is in man-to-man coverage, and you feel like, yeah, we're going to be aggressive with that. That's we can attack them. For passing only situations, yes, I've seen some of the best offenses in the world struggle with two men. Now, the problem is this: if you're playing two man versus the run, you got issues. That middle of the field is going to be wide open, right? In terms of how they can run it downhill, puts a lot more strain on the interior part, your D tackles, your interior linemen or linebackers, right? So there are pros and cons to both of them. All right. But in theory, you can press. You absolutely can. All right, let's see. I like David Decker, the eternal optimist. He says Flacco is capturing the AFC North gauntlet. Yes, he is, man. See, that's the positivity I was looking for. All right. Because shout out to Joe Flacco, man. I told you, Joe is my favorite. Why is Joe my favorite quarterback? Because I sacked Joe every stop along the way, man. James Madison University, my first ever collegiate sack against who? Give me Joe Flacco. Absolutely. While he was at Delaware. Shout out. Then from there, my first ever NFL National Football League sack. Who was it against? The Baltimore Ravens, Joe Flacco. Shout out to Joe. And then, of course, I come to Pittsburgh, and my first time playing on Monday Night Football. I can't sleep. I'm staying up. It's probably 5 a.m. when I get home. But literally, and I think me and Tish were actually talking about this on the stream yesterday. It's my first Monday night game, and I get a chance to sack Joe Flacco, Baltimore Ravens, do a little dance, cause a, you know what I'm saying, some ruckus out there. But absolutely a blast of a game. An absolute blast of a time. And that's why I said I love playing against Joe Flacco. He gonna hold that ball, he gonna stay in that pocket, he gonna give you a chance, baby. He's for sure to give you a chance. But shout out to Joe, man. Oh, and I can see this DMR or DM 4191. He says Joe Flacco gonna try picking on JPJ for those PI calls. Absolutely. And I mean, if you're a offense and you're wanting to attack JPJ and you think that could be the way that you have a ton of success, good luck. You know that. But at the same time, what we always say is you can't make an omelet without breaking an egg or two. Okay. So penalties happen on the perimeter, baby. When you're out there going against them dudes, it happens. But you just know all it takes is one. All it takes is one pick. And that changed everything about how you looking at that. That's all it takes. And JPJ has for sure given us plenty of reasons to know that, yeah, you can trust that dude in those situations. So I actually, hey, baby, Flacco, go for it, baby. That's all I say, go for it. Because I feel like, man, some dudes just need more opportunities to prove what they are really capable of. Shoot, we seen James Pierre. It's like, all right, Minnesota Vikings primetime action, man. You throwing at that boy, should have had the walk-off pick, right? We'll get into the weeds of was his feet in or not. But it's like, yeah, bro. You see what he doing, man? And you see how these guys are. So it's like, man, just give dudes opportunities. And sometimes as a DB, yeah, I want you to test that. I want you to test me. Let's find out. Let's find out, man. But shout out, though, to the guys. A shout out. Let Let's get it. And no, Chris Hobson, no, don't get me. I don't want to get back on the field to go get him. This is about the best I can get you right now. When I was clipping up his picture, I was like, you know what? It was a lot of nostalgia. Okay, it was a lot of positive memories, positive energy, but nothing promoted me to feel the urge to ever put the pads on. In fact, I was working out today. I was watching the film, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, I go get that one. I'm like, you know what? We're gonna stay right on this cardio machine. We are not dealing with that. No, thank you, buddy. No, thank you. But I do appreciate you though. All right. But yeah, like I said, man. So definitely one of those ones, man. And yes, X Concepts, that is the same game as the defensive scores, man, or the 6 touchdowns, excuse me, by Big Ben. That's definitely that same game we'll talk about. Yep. So yeah, man. But like I said, man, definitely one of those things though, when we're talking about this move from Cleveland. Also, what does this do? What symbol is this, for Cleveland? We'll talk about that later on with Tanisha as well in terms of their direction, because to move on from the guy that you've been having as your starter after 4 games, and all you got right now is 2 young rookies on your roster in terms of the quarterbacks, right? At least the ones that you feel confident in. It's like, man, I don't know what they're trying to do right now, but also it's not for me to know what they're trying to do. It's okay. It's all right. Okay. Because bad teams do bad things. All right. And I don't have to understand this. I don't need to. Okay. It's not my problems. And in fact, I'm glad they got them. So now. But anywho, y'all know the drill. Hit the like button one time for the culture and subscribe if you are new to the channel, baby.